You clicked it because something feels slightly off. Not in a dramatic way, of course. Nothing is falling apart, and I'm pretty sure that life isn't broken. It just doesn't feel settled. You wake up, you go to work, you try to improve yourself, always making plans for the future. And from the outside, everything looks normal. You're doing what you're supposed to do. You're moving forward. But doesn't it feel like you always can't arrive to something? There's always this quiet sense that something is still missing, that you're almost there, but not quite. So you tell yourself the same thing most people do. When I finally reach that point, I'll relax. When I get that promotion, that body, that relationship, that number in my bank account, then life will feel different. You see, the problem is, there keeps moving. Every time you get close to it, it shifts just a little further away. Daniel is 28. He has a stable job, a small apartment, and a life that makes sense on paper. Nothing about it looks wrong. But he's tired. Of course, not physically, he's not exhausted from work, just quietly tired. Like he's been running towards something for years, and he's still not sure what finishing the race is supposed to feel like. Daniel is convinced that once he gets promoted, he'll finally relax. It doesn't sound dramatic in his head, but rather practical. He just wants that quiet pressure in his chest to ease up. So he works more. He stays late even when he doesn't have to. He answers emails faster than necessary and takes on extra responsibility because it feels like movement. Being busy feels like progress. Months pass like that. Eventually it happens. He gets the promotion. The new title looks different in his email signature. The salary number changes. When he sees it, he feels something close to relief. Not excitement exactly, more like tension loosening. For a short time, he feels more confident. He walks a little straighter, speaks with a bit more certainty. It feels like effort finally paid off. But the feeling doesn't stay. A few weeks later, the new title feels ordinary. The higher salary becomes normal. The rush he felt at the beginning fades into routine. Nothing dramatic caused it. He didn't fail. His brain simply adjusted. What once felt like a breakthrough slowly becomes baseline. And once something becomes baseline, it stops feeling like an achievement. Soon enough, that quiet pressure starts creeping back in. And he catches himself thinking the same thing again. Maybe the next step will feel different. The problem wasn't the promotion, and it wasn't the salary either. It was the belief that relief was waiting somewhere ahead. Daniel never really cared about status. He cared about the pressure. He thought that once he reached the next level, something inside him would finally loosen. For a few days after the promotion, it almost did. He felt lighter, proud, seen. But then, something subtle happened. Nothing dramatic, no failure, no crisis, just a quiet return to normal. The excitement faded without asking permission. When the brain reaches a goal, it recalibrates. What felt extraordinary slowly becomes standard. What felt special becomes expected. And what is expected stops feeling like progress. So the mind begins scanning again for the next improvement, the next milestone, the next version of himself. Not because he is broken, not because he is ungrateful, but because that's how the system is wired. The same mechanism that once kept him alert and ambitious is the one that keeps him restless now. And for the first time, Daniel notices it. The finish line was never meant to feel permanent. It was only ever meant to move. At first it feels uncomfortable because it quietly challenges something he believed for years. For a long time, he assumed that the pressure he felt was temporary, and that once he reached the right milestone, it would finally disappear. The promotion, the next level, the bigger number, all of it seemed like steps toward that moment of relief. But now he starts to see the pattern more clearly. Every time he reached something he once wanted, the sense of progress lasted for a while, and then slowly faded into the background. The achievement didn't disappear, but it stopped feeling extraordinary. It simply became part of normal life. And once something becomes normal, the mind naturally begins looking forward again. Not because anything is wrong, but because the brain was built to keep moving, not to stay satisfied forever. For most of human history, that system was useful. It kept people alert, improving, and searching for better conditions. But in a modern life full of constant goals and milestones, the same system can start to feel like a loop. The finish line moves, the effort continues, and the sense of arrival never quite lasts. Daniel begins asking a different question. Not, how do I finally reach the finish line? But, what if life was never designed to have one? For a long time, he believed the pressure meant something was wrong. That somewhere ahead, there was a version of life where everything would finally feel settled. But now, that idea begins to look different. What if the pressure he felt wasn't a mistake in the system, but part of how the system works? The same force that made him restless was also the force that made him curious, that pushed him to learn new things, to build something that didn't exist before, to try again after failure instead of stopping. Without that tension, he might never have moved at all. And for the first time, Daniel stops trying to escape that pressure. Instead, he begins to see it for what it actually is. Not a problem to eliminate, but a signal. For most of his life, Daniel believed that one day everything would finally settle, that the pressure would fade, that there would be a moment when he could finally say, "Now I've made it." But now he sees something different. The finish line keeps moving. Not because life is unfair, and not because he's doing something wrong, but because life was never meant to stop. And maybe peace was never waiting at the end of the road. Maybe it was always supposed to be found while walking it.